You walk into a modern reception class expecting to see kids learning to sound out words or trace their letters. Instead, you might see a 5-year-old staring at a physical picture book, repeatedly swiping the paper page with their finger. We are seeing a sharp rise in children arriving for their first year of school, missing basic developmental milestones. Many are still in nappies. Some lack the core body strength to sit up at a desk, while others haven't developed the fine motor skills needed to hold a pencil or use a knife and fork. According to a recent poll, 88% of early years educators report having at least one child who is not toilet trained. When lessons pause for basic needs, schools lose an average of 2.4 hours of instructional time daily. School readiness is the physical baseline required for any learning to occur. When that baseline collapses, schools are forced to become surrogate parents before the first lesson can even begin. To understand where this deficit starts, we have to look at the home environment during a child's first few years. Early brain development relies heavily on a process called serve and return. Serve and return is a back-and-forth rhythm. A baby smiles and a parent smiles back, providing slow, predictable interaction. But that essential human bonding is increasingly being replaced. Screens provide fast-paced, unpredictable stimulation. It's like lauding a tennis ball over the net, but no one is there to hit it back. Overworked parents, squeezed by a harsh cost-of-living crisis, often rely on devices to keep children occupied. The result is a lack of engagement on both sides. Without that steady parental interaction to set boundaries, children struggle to learn self-regulation or how to handle hearing the word no. By the time these children reach the school gates, the absence of early neurological foundation work leaves them biologically unprepared. They arrive entirely unaccustomed to the delayed gratification that formal education demands. This lack of physical and emotional preparation does not magically resolve itself after the first term. It mutates, creating a compounding deficit at every stage of the education system. In the early years, schools are forced to implement remedial occupational therapies, like squeezing and stretching heavy clay, just to build up the hand strength a child needs to eventually grip a pencil. As they move through primary school, the requirement shifts to social fitness. Social fitness is the ability to share, take turns, and sit quietly in a community setting. Students raised only instant reset buttons of video games lack this fitness, leading to severe distress or violent outbursts when they are forced to wait. By secondary school, the demands evolve into executive function. Executive function is the cognitive ability to organize your own life, managing a complex timetable, navigating a large campus, and chunking a massive project into smaller 20-minute tasks. If the foundation of self-regulation was never built, these older students simply cannot manage their own schedules. Educators try to compensate using defensive strategies like soft starts. A soft start is a dedicated 10-minute period of quiet reading or low-stakes tasks at the beginning of the day to help students transition out of a stressed state. They rely on strict, predictable routines to artificially manufacture the calm arousal levels needed for learning. When physical and emotional independence isn't established at home, the exhausting labor of teaching cognitive and emotional regulation falls entirely onto the public school system. These individual classroom struggles carry consequences that extend into the economic future of the entire country. We are looking at the long-term socioeconomic trajectory of an entire generation. This is a chart tracking the developmental gap between lower-income students and their wealthier peers. Right at age 5, as they enter the school system, disadvantaged pupils are already 4.7 months behind. Schools remain trapped in a game of catch-up they cannot win. That initial developmental lag nearly quadruples over the next decade. By age 16, the gap between these students has stretched to over 19 months. That academic shortfall translates directly into severe societal costs. In England alone, the failure to intervene early generates an estimated £16 billion in social costs due to higher rates of unemployment, mental illness, and crime later in life. Other nations have recognized this math and taken a completely different approach. In Estonia, children don't start formal school until they are 7. However, they are legally entitled to a heavily subsidized kindergarten place starting at 18 months old.
Crucially, Estonia doesn't treat this early care as a babysitting service just to get parents back to work. Nurseries are staffed by teachers with university degrees, treating the early years as the foundation for social, emotional, and self-regulatory skills. True readiness is a societal responsibility. Until basic physical and emotional boundaries are recognized as the absolute prerequisites for education, the classroom will remain a place of crisis management rather than design.